Okay, we are live on YouTube. So welcome everyone on the 2019 September 11 node.js Diagnostic Working Group meeting. Is there anything that someone would like to add to the agenda which is not on the agenda yet, or should we go ahead with the agenda? I take it as a yes. Okay, let's start with the main node.js repo, where people labeled our working group. And async hooks do not recognize execution context created when processing denables. Does anyone has an update on this? I remember then last week, 2 weeks ago, there wasn't update. Yeah, it's
yeah. I was hoping to do something about it, but haven't at the time. Someone needs to make a pull request to V8, basically.
Okay. So you plan to open the pull request, but you didn't have time, basically, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure when I'll get to it, but if someone else has time, feel free to pick it up.
Okay.
When I'm debugging node files that have async, I always have to step into an intermediate file before the actual real file gets executed. I always have to step back out, step in. I don't know if that's common.
Sorry, what was that again?
When I'm debugging node files and it's on async function, when I step into the function, it goes to an intermediate file before I actually step into the function that I'm calling. Let me just check what it's called again.
You mean, is it related to this issue, or you just brought it up?
Oh, it's not related to this issue, it's just an issue I'm having with it.
I don't know, is someone has an opinion about it?
It would be nice to see a demo to understand what's going on.
You mean like an actual code?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, it's really hard to tell without seeing a code. So could you open an issue in the repo with your example? Then I think we can discuss it next time.
Okay, cool.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move to the diagnostic repo issues. One is the inspect store flag proposal. I'm just opening. Yeah, no updates since July. I'm wondering if we should remove this from the agenda. Is there anyone who is feeling otherwise?
I'm gonna ping Alexei to see if he still wants to discuss this in the meeting.
Okay, so Matthias is pinging Alexei, but otherwise we are removing it from the agenda.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. As I remember, the last few times it's been like, can we get Alexei to the meeting to discuss it further? If we can't, then I'd agree just closing it. Makes sense.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Proposal to drive diagnostic working group initiatives to user journeys. It's still waiting for me. I need to work more on the survey to being able to send it out. But I'm wondering if maybe we can jump straight to 1-2 use cases, which we know for sure that we want to tackle, just to make some progress, because this survey takes longer than I expected.
Well, I think Jarish has one which I've commented on, but it would be good to get your comments on, and maybe that's the first one to try and get reviewed and landed.
Okay. There was this conversation if we should change the diagnostic working group meetings to have deep dives instead of status updates. Should we try in 2 weeks to go with that use case? I think it's this is the postmortem stuff, or at least doing something like half of the meeting is deep dive on that and half of them status update. Would be the people open to try this new approach?
I'm good with that.
Yep, definitely sounds good for me.
Okay.
So like next week we should next time, like, is there every 2 weeks, which is still pretty frequent. I think next time we could say, like, we're not going to go through the regular agenda. Let's just focus on that.
Okay. Then the next meeting in 2 weeks will be deep dive on.
Trish, do you have the link for that one?
I think it was more time, but I'm not 100% sure.
This is basically Peter's document we are talking about, right?
No, the one I'm talking about is the one we talked about this morning that I commented on. Your first case, right? The let me see if I can find.
Yeah, I can find it.
Yeah, there's only 6 PRs, so it's best practices, add crash prerequisites. Here, I'll paste it in the minutes too. And here, I'll paste it first here, and then the minutes.
Okay.
PR 285.
Yeah. Basically, we could use the meeting as a working meeting to make sure we finish the review, figure out anything that needs to happen before we land that one. And if we finish that, we could then use the meeting as talk about the next one. Make sure we finish the review, figure out anything that needs to happen before we land that one. And if we finish that, we could then use the meeting as talk about the next one. Make sure we finish the review, figure out anything that needs to happen before we land that one. And if we finish that, we could then use the meeting and talk about the next one. Make sure we finish the review, figure out anything that needs to happen before we land that one. I think somebody's feeding back. Okay.
Yeah, probably I got a little bit confused because the agenda item proposal to drive diagnostic working group initiative through user journey, in my opinion, Peter was trying to get some feedback on the user journeys document which he prepared, and that is also getting stagnated a bit, and he wanted to discuss that within.
Maybe it would make sense to plan time for both of those, Peter, is that?
Best practices guide document, definitely, yes.
Maybe it would make sense to plan time for both of those, Peter, is that?
So to be honest, something crazy was happening and everything
Best
was
practices
echoing, so I
guide
didn't
document, definitely, yes.
I am here, but everything that I say or someone says is repeated in the call. I don't know what's happening.
You don't happen to have, like when you started the stream, you don't happen to have a window open that's playing in? Yeah, that one.
That was the issue.
Okay. It's happened to me too, so.
Holy shit. I mean, yeah, that was crazy. Sorry about that. Okay, so what was another item? Because I completely lost focus.
Well, it was, Strish was saying that maybe you wanted to go through 211 instead of, which is the best practices guide, as opposed to 285.
Instead of 285, and 285 is the crash.
Yes. Sorry, I meant definitely 285, but in addition to that, Peter also had some document which he wanted to get feedback from the user feedback channels, the work which he did through number 295.
So I think the two is related. Maybe I made a mistake not sharing what I meant under deep dive, but my idea would be basically we discuss that, okay, this is the user symptom that the user is saying that my process is crashing, and we can discuss what are the available tools today, what would be the ideal tool in the future, and what should be the recommended and the best practice today to the users. So I'm kind of thinking both to covering the state of the ecosystem today, what we can recommend to the users and what we can give them today to deal with this, and where we want to be in a year or 2 years, kind of making able to do action items later, that what could bring us there. So what would be the ideal, like if we can do anything in Node?
Okay, that sounds good. I think it would be good to have out of that is 285 cover what is today and we can land it, or we need to make some changes. And then in addition to that, what's the future plan, I guess, is what you've just said, which would be a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool.
And on that front, Jarish just told me he's going to have some more time to work on this, so hopefully we'll have more cycles going forward.
Yeah, that's right. I was engaged in for something else for some time, and now I should be able to spend some more time on this. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like we are on the same page. Let's move to Perfecto, which I guess is another things we should remove from the agenda, but let me double check. Yeah, no update since basically May. So is there anyone who is saying we shouldn't remove from the agenda?
I would agree that we remove, maybe comment on the issue that says, since there haven't been any updates, we're going to remove from the agenda until somebody's more actively engaged, more actively coming to tell us there's work or not or whatever, right? But
okay, I agree.
Yeah.
Async hooks, I know everyone thinks it's important, but not, in my understanding, not much progress happening, but maybe progress is happening, just it's not shared with Diagnostic group. Does anyone has a recent update on this?
No, I think we're at the state where we need a champion to be pushing it forward, and there isn't one. So I would agree that there's not much point having it on the agenda right at this point, unless we find somebody who's going to be, pushing it forward or making sure there's something to talk about.
Okay.
Like I am still trying, sort of as very background tasks. I am still interested in the terminology and sort of whatever it was, like the terminology that Mike Kaufman had put together in terms of async context and stuff. And so I'm still interested in seeing if we can move that forward, but only like, it's not going to be fast, and it's not going to be anything that's worth reporting on in the meetings until some point later on. So. Okay,
makes sense. There were a couple of items on the issue that people were, issue meaning the agenda for the today meeting. I need to find that discussion.
Yeah, there was some discussion on CPU profiling, but I think everything was answered in the issue. So I don't think there's anything to discuss in the meeting about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there someone who thinks differently and want to discuss what's on the issue? Sounds like a hard no. Okay. Any other topic that we should discuss today?
I think the only other topic was the meeting time.
Yes.
Yep. Right. Like if we should try and find a different time that's better for, more of the people who've participated in the past.
Yep. I still didn't have time to look into the calendars and finding the intersection. Yep. If someone has time, then I would appreciate it. Otherwise, I will try to keep pushing myself to do it.
I wonder if just like, why don't we have an issue that's open?
Yes.
Why don't we just post in there? Like, so I think it's still like, if you can put you can get that spreadsheet or whatever, that's the best way. But why don't we just post in there, like, please post times that would, if you're not being able to make the current meeting, please post times that would work better for you.
Okay.
Because that sounds like something we can do like this. And then if we get like 3 or 4 people all saying that there's times, that at least shows that there's interest and it's just a time thing, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so I can find the issue and do that right now if that helps.
Okay. Let me link the issue.
Yeah, what one is it? Oh, meeting focus, that's 319, I think.
Yep.
Do we think it's time yet to start alternating times? Over more time zones?
I think that would be, you know, if we find that we've got non-overlapping times, we should do that. And that's part of, like, Peter was going to put together a spreadsheet like we use for the TSC. It just takes some work to do that. So that would tell us, like, hey, if there's like half the people can make one time and half the people can make the other time and there's no overlap, that spreadsheet would show us that. There's a short form, I think, just posting an issue. And if people say, well, I can't make this time, but could make, what time could I make? What daytime could you make? We can sort of see what comes out of that. And if people respond, it's a better signal that they're just not making the meeting versus just don't have time overall, right?
Okay, I like the idea. Let's give it a try. Okay, then is there any topic that we should discuss today, or should we end early? Okay, then let's end early, and hopefully in 2 weeks with the deep dive we can make more progress and moving away a little bit from the status update meetings, which is great when lots of things happening to share context, but when not many things happening, it's not the best way of spend our time. So see you in 2 weeks, and thank you for coming.
Yep, see you in 2 weeks. It'll be great to have a working session. So
I'm definitely happy to see us focusing on more deep dives and clearing out the agenda. Had lots of stuff just sit there forever.
Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe it's worth pinging the working group before the meeting in next week. So maybe more people will be interested. If it's not an update, we will see. We should.
Yeah, having said that, the issue, like the meeting generator will generate the standard template. So you'll probably need to go in there and say, no, we're not doing this. We're doing this, and this other thing instead.
Okay.
And
cool.
that'd probably be a good time to, you can mention the team to say, by the way, we're not doing this. We're actually having a deep dive on X.
Mm-hmm.
And for the deep dives, can we also just keep in mind to try and, if possible, present them in a way that's consumable to people outside of the group? It could be a really good way to help people understand what we work on more.
Yep,
Makes sense.
Makes sense. It just came into my mind one thing, that I will be on vacation in 2 weeks, so I need to figure out if I can make it to the meeting. I will try. It makes sense to push it after that.
Yeah, we could. So I mean, we could just push it a week one way or the other too. So.
Someone was saying something.
I was just trying to say we could push it 1 week forward or back if you can't make next week, but
yeah, the
next time.
Okay, I will check it today. Apologize about that. It's just when I was checking my calendar, it came into my mind. Okay. Then thank you for coming today, and have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thanks. Nice talking to everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.